And it is August 2026. August 2026. Let's move this up a little. Okay, so lots going on, and geez, oh my goodness. I'm just looking at the picture of Maru Campos. She's looking really rough. She's looking pretty bad. Yeah, and for good reason. For good reason, because her eyes don't cry, right? Her evil eyes don't cry. She just continues to she has just a lot of blood on her hands. A lot of blood. How do you look good when you have a lot of blood on your hands? Yeah, I don't think you look very good at all in that situation. So let me charge my phone and get to the Facebook and see if I'm on. Okay. Oh, there it is. All right. So, first, I just want to say thank you to everybody coming on, and I'm so glad I'm on it just a little bit earlier. Not early enough, but a little bit earlier. Just a lot of good news happening today on day 2,195 days since Richard was forcibly removed from his barracks room there on Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas. I'm Patricia Halliday. I'm his mother. And this is why this is very personal to us. We've been doing this every day, 2,195 days, because we want answers. And those that are behind what happened to Richard was a code red. And behind that, the cartel. And behind that, the fuel thieves and the traffickers, and those that extort and funnel money and launder money and just make our world a very bad place, make it a worse place. And of course, they came after us, right? They came after us because it was like, your son was whistleblowing on our criminal activities, and you can't know what happened to your son. So we endured, we've endured years of retaliation, not like what our son got. Our son got, his life taken from him, retaliation, smearing, and then the code red where they forced him out of the barrack. You know that barracks are co-ed right now, and I don't know whose smart idea was that, whose stupid idea was that. But anyway, so they forced him out of those barracks, and downstairs, this is the same building, building 2479 on Fort Bliss. In the barracks room, I have the video, and I probably should play it. Um, the crime scene where they took his life and then they sealed it, and they, no expense spared, renovated the room to obstruct justice and destroy evidence. But not enough, because we have mountains of evidence. When you um, when you commit such a crime against the United States, a crime against humanity, an act of war, what they did to Richard. You leave a lot of paper trail there, right? You leave a lot of evidence, as much as you try to erase the evidence, especially since Richard came first. His reports came first. The Walmart mass shooting was an attempt to, uh, of course, it was attempt to, and they did it, kill people. But they also wanted to divert attention away from what Richard was reporting. And I have of course, it's all about the child trafficking and the sex cult and, the drug trafficking and all that. But what really makes sense is the fuel theft, that he was reporting the fuel theft. And of course, when the Walmart mass shooting happened, and really evidence indicates that he was reporting the orchestration, the planning of the orchestration of the Walmart mass shooting before it even happened. So that is something that really we are very eager to see how our investigations move forward on that, because it's getting clearer and clearer that he was giving warnings that a mass shooting was being planned, a big event was being planned. And that was because his unit was involved in that. Um, but he was really, I think, also reporting on the fuel theft. And the reason why the fuel theft is a big deal is because they're big players. Those are the big fish that are involved in the fuel theft. These are the people that have the $9 million homes. These are the people that are the double agents, right? The El Paso cartel, in alliance with the CJNG cartel and the Sinaloa cartel and the Juarez cartel. And they are really uh, those that re- uh, bring in people to manage the election there in El Paso. They also manipulate through the local media. They run the local media there, you know, and so they can manipulate through the media. And it just shows you we really have to always look behind the curtain for every story we read, and every bond that they want to push through, and um the politics of it, because we have in El Paso, and we can tell you clearly, individuals that are up to no good, have no care for the constituents at all, no care for the people of El Paso. And I would even say that they're involved in some kind of very, very bad cultish activity, really, really bad cultish activity. Um, uh, because it's very clear, the evidence really screams that out. So that's why Richard was targeted, like with Ray Velarde, with El Mayo's lawyer. Why Salvador Purchase has to target this case? Why um, uh, um, John um, Kelly, right? General John Kelly had to target our son's case. It just uh, it shows you that this is the um, what Richard was whistleblowing really unraveled a criminal enterprise. That's what um, the evidence indicates. And so that's why they had to disappear his body, you see, and really give us all, try their hardest to just cover this all up, and make it all just disappear, their major crimes, because they wanted to continue with their criminal trafficking of all kinds, from children to drugs to weapons to ammunition, and of course, their fuel theft. And I just learned something new from the Jensen's fuel theft that is totally connected to El Paso. Of course, it's the southern border of Texas and into New Mexico, Carlsbad, which is right. I mean, it's all in the pipeline of El Paso. And of course, where that was going on is family of Lisa Weiss, the person that's in charge of elections in El Paso, right? Is that a coincidence? Is that a coincidence? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think there is some real connections there, because the people that are involved in election um, outcomes are the people that are really, really involved and put their money into it and everything, are the ones involved in this fuel theft there. Um, because it's very important to control any kind of politician or judge or any elected candidate, um, in order, you gotta bribe them, whatever, control them, have them on your secret payroll or whatever, and to be able to continue with the millions and billions of fuel theft. So, because everybody needs fuel, right? It's not like drugs. Drugs we can say no to. Sex cult stuff we can say no to. Wild parties we can say no to, right? But fuel, we all need fuel. And so it is really a very demanded um, commodity. And and so they want to protect their scheme, to get stolen fuel, and they buy it from the cartel. And what I learned is that the CJNG cartel, Luis Rivera, and he has some other names too, but the big name is Rivera, right? The Rivera, the Rivera, the Rivera. That's the big part of his name. Oh, geez, I gotta sing it. I mean, there's so much good information coming out. It's just crazy. But anyway, he admitted he was working with the law enforcement intelligence agencies of our federal government and decided to wear a wire to a dinner meeting with the Jensens, right? With the Jensens in Dallas, in Dallas. Oh, wow. Um, yeah. Uh, when you live in Texas and you grew up in Texas, and of course I grew up in El Paso and I grew up in Temple, Texas, you know what things mean, right? You just know what things mean. But anyway, so they went out to dinner in Dallas, and I'm, you know, pretty much sure what part of Dallas. Anyway, and he was wearing a wire. He was wearing a wire, and he was CJNG. He was CJNG leader. And he gives this whole detail about what happened and how he was wearing a wire, and that he had been smuggling stolen fuel through this network for over 2 decades, y'all. Over 2 decades, yeah. And paying CJ&G would make so much money for highway access and everything. So you had cartel controlling the roads that taxpayers paid for, that taxpayers paid for. Can you believe it? And wanting a fee to use it. But anyway, but he was meeting with the Jensens and was wearing a wire and recorded it all. And he's the witness now to the major fuel theft, because there was a lot of little questions like, "Oh, I didn't know that fuel was stolen. I didn't know it was from a cartel. Oh no, And it's kind of like all of these intelligence agents, being on the secret payroll for Chihuahua, like CIA and FBI and ATF. And, I've had so many people from Mexico write me and say, it's the CIA, it's the FBI that is doing this, with the cartels. And I'm like, yeah, but do you know that that these are traitors, right? These are traitors, and they, for the most part, I don't want to say 100%, but for the most part, they are Mormon mafia. Okay, they are Mormon mafia in disguise. I shouldn't even say disguise because they are really in the CIA and the FBI. And I think there should be some real vetting when it comes to who's serving in the CIA and the FBI and the ATF and the DEA and the CBP. Not from Chihuahua, Mexico. Sorry, no way. Not with that long history, over 100 years of being in there. You know, no way. So, my phone, it keeps ringing off the hook. Uh, so I won't be so long tonight because it is really important for um, people to know that all of this trafficking, all the crimes come from protecting this watchicle, this fuel theft. And so really it goes into teams, right? Teams, like Justin Underwood teaming up with Dannia Catzin. And Justin Underwood tampered, posed as a Texas official, did all kinds of interference with the Walmart mass shooting case, and leaks, just obstructing the Walmart mass shooting case, and also the whistleblowers, and of course, our son, and engaging in that whole murder cover up. And with Dannia Catzin, the fugitive, the fraudsters. Well, they're both the fraudster and the fugitive, right? The fraudster and the fraudster fugitive. I mean, there should be a song about the fraudster and the fraudster fugitive teaming up with and they have something in common. They're both Mormon mafia, right? They're both absolutely team Beto O'Rourke, which it wouldn't it's not really Beto, y'all. It is not Beto. It's William Sanders. It's his father-in-law. Okay. Beto O'Rourke is just a mouthpiece, a proxy for what his father-in-law wants. William Sanders, who is heavily invested in the Premium Basin, right? The area there where all the fuel theft is, right? Um, so yeah, and with Justin Underwood's wife working for Beto O'Rourke, for with La Diabla's family being hired by Beto O'Rourke, and then La Diabla, if she gained some weight or if Danae lost some weight, they would look a lot alike. They would look a lot alike, right? I would not, especially with the Mendez, right? The Martha Mendez, because we know that Jesus Mendez, Melendez, and the Mendez, that they are all related to Danea Katzen and Belen Rocha, and but so Danea Katzen might be related to this Martha Mendez Aguilar, the La Diabla. There is a reason to look that up. There is a reason for that investigation because of the Mendez Aguilar surnames, right? I mean, it's just a red flag, and we have to look them up. But and this is who Justin Underwood surrounds himself with, right? He's tampering, he's obstructing, he's you know, trying to intimidate anyone that wants something good. He wants a crime. Why? Because he wants a lot of cases, right? He wants crime. He wants crime at the courthouse, and he wants to tamper with the will. So he wants to be then with good with Madranos, right? He has to be good with the Madranos so they can tamper with the will, so he can get cases for his office and himself. And all of this evidence is coming forward that, and of course, Lisa Weiss, who's in charge of the elections, that is up to no good, right? That is, has some real connections to these fuel theft cartel high areas along the border. Um, and there's just no, i- she has to have certain connections to have her job. I'm just telling you because it is such an important job to be in charge of the elections. I wouldn't want it because it requires, um, never allowing anyone to look at, audit the election, right? She would never allow anyone to audit the election. So it's a real threat to our democracy and our national security to do what she's doing. And of course, she's a big Veronica Escobar fan, a big Beto fan. And of course, Justin Underwood's wife was working for Beto O'Rourke, and so was Dannia Catzin. I have the picture. Let's see, that's the basin, but did I put it up here? Yeah, there it is. Um, so let's see if I can make it even bigger. I don't know if that helps. I don't know if that helps. That doesn't help. So here it is. There's Dannia Catzin. Here she is, fugitive. She's a total fugitive, right? Fugitive, fugitive, fugitive. And of course, she's, campaigning for Beto O'Rourke. And so was Justin Underwood and his wife, Brooke, were, matter of fact, Brooke worked for Beto O'Rourke in the same office as La Diabla's family. Okay. I mean, Beto O'Rourke hired La Diabla's family. And that's what I'm saying. They kind of look alike, Um, and that all needs to be investigated. But I can tell you right now that Justin Underwood is being federally investigated already. Okay. And so, uh, that, look, La Diabla is CJNG. That is a designation of an FTO or a specially designated global terroristic organization. So, he's in real trouble. He is in real trouble. Danae is in real trouble. That's why Danae is a fugitive, because if they are found to be, and the evidence is there, y'all, to be aiding and abetting the CJNG, FTO, a foreign terroristic organization, along with a specially designated globalist terrorist, if that's what they're doing, they're in big trouble, just like the election tampers down in southern Texas, right? So this is serious business. This is not um, Kansas anymore, right? This is not the way things used to operate under Biden. There's a new sheriff in town, and he's taken this fuel thievery very serious, with all the other dominoes that fall behind that, with all the other crimes, because you have to have then an army, then you have to steal weapons, and you have to have ammunition, so then you smuggle ammunition, and then you have the worst type of people that are your gunmen, and so then there becomes pornography and child trafficking and drug trafficking, and then everything else. So the this whole institutional or enterprise of fuel theft that they are infiltrating to make it institutional, makes things pretty rotten. Makes things pretty rotten. And this is what President Trump confirmed that Richard was killed in. right? That this was a retaliatory from a government that had gone rogue, from a leadership that had gone rogue, and there along in El Paso and along the border. So, are you going to hear about rogue CIA agents getting in an ambush? Are you going to hear about Connell Wetton, the rogue FBI agent? Are you going to hear about um, the Mayelas? Yes, here you're going to hear all about them. They are absolute traitors, and they are rogue. They have no authority to do what they're doing. To leak a U.S. Army soldier's identity to the cartel is just so bad. And of course, just at Underwood, leaking and also just a fraudster. Really, the big F for him and Dannia. And they were working together. They were working together all the time, all this time from, before we even went to El Paso. They were working together. And of course, she, was using KTSM. He was using Bob Moore, but they were, yeah, they were, had probably meetings about how they were going to spin this and intimidate and harass and bury this whistleblower, Richard Halliday, the Fort Bliss whistleblower, Richard Halliday, a very courageous soldier. So that is that's what's been going on, and the news behind it all is getting really, really positive. We're just really moving forward to getting our son's remains. A big step because we have a new consul general in Ciudad Juarez for Chihuahua. That is really a big deal because we're working very hard to get our son's remains. So thank you so much. God bless you, and thank you for coming. Oh, Alexandra, I need to look. I'll look to see if I got your message. I will. Thank you so much for the reminder. And we're getting a lot of information, and we're submitting a lot of information. And giving it some oomph behind it, right? Because and that's a good sign too, because people are coming out of their fear. They're not afraid like they used to. I mean, when you have the Jensens being caught by a 20-year fuel theft veteran, a watch a coal cowboy kind of thing, and I'm sure he did it on a plea deal because he's probably going to spend the rest of his life paying for all of his theft and the CJNG. But it's a plea deal, right? Um, so to see him talk about how they set up the Jensens and how he was wearing a wire, we're just in different times, right? We are in different times, and because to think about who the Jensens are and who their connections are, since they are the Mormon mafia, and not just any Mormon mafia, but you're talking about the next level Mormon mafia. Not so much like, let's say Connell Wetton, he doesn't have a $9 million house, but the Jensens did with other property. So, yeah, that explains. Can you imagine if Lisa Weiss was really connected to the Jensens? That would explain a lot of things. That would explain a lot of things, right? Wow. Wow. And they really don't put just anybody in charge of elections, do they? So, anyway, that's kind of uh, some tips that we're working on, and we're getting a lot of information in because people are just not afraid anymore. They're not afraid of the very, very broken cartels because of all the arrests. No, the leadership is very shaky. And of course, for everything that's going on in El Paso. all of the um, everything that has transpired that we see who's who. We know that San Madrano is just the most corrupt judge in El Paso history. We know that Justin Underwood was working with a fugitive, a fugitive from the law. I mean, he's just so low, right? And trying to tamper with the two major cases in El Paso being our son's case and the Walmart case. Yeah, with the fugitive, right? With the fugitive, and that it has a common denominator, and that common denominator is the Mormon mafia. Over and over and over again, you're going to see that common denominator because, you know, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. So thank you so much. God bless you. Please, share, 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 and keep going because Mario Campos is looking very weak, and we are very strong. And I'm just so grateful for all of you for sticking with us and sharing and giving all of your support and your love and your prayers. Thank you so much. God bless you. And don't forget to sign the petition for Richard to get full honors. Thank you so much.